goals have been hard to come by for the U.S. Big efforts against Russia and Canada were stymied by sensational goaltending. The U.S. now faces a must-win situation to keep its medal hopes alive. No easy task against Slovakia, which has proven it can play with the big boys. USA, Slovakia, with a berth in the quarters on the line. Canadian family and friends arriving early for Canada-Russia on the final day of 2012. And for one of the teams up first, it will be the final day of medal round dreams. It's USA, Slovakia. Loser is out. Hello, Canada. Thanks for getting up with us again at the World Junior Hockey Championship. James Duthie and Bob McKenzie. Huge day ahead. Canada-Russia for first place in their group and a bye to the semis. But first, it is the battle for third. The Americans haven't really stumbled to this position. They played a good game against Russia, and they lost to a hot goalie. They played a solid game against Canada, and they lost to a hot goalie. Now they're one hot goalie away from relegation, and Adam Nagy and the Slovaks have already proven they can be dangerous. To get you set for it, Gord Miller and Ray Ferraro. Guys?
Well, James, there's two ways to look at it. Either the Americans have run into hot goaltending, or their top line simply hasn't done enough. What is it, Ray?
Well, they have run into hot goaltending, but the running into the hot goaltending and getting no breaks rings hollow after a while. You're in a spot now where you need goals. 5 of the 13 U.S. forwards don't have a point, and they have only one each from John Goodrow, J.T. Miller, and Rocco Grimaldi. That was supposed to be their top line. Grimaldi has been so ineffective. He's been dropped to the 13th forward for this afternoon's game. Miller had a couple of good chances against the Canadians, but quite simply, they have not been good enough as a forward group. Their defense have 5 of their 10 goals. They need something from their offensive people up front.
If the Slovaks do knock the Americans out of medal contention, it wouldn't be the first time. In the 2009 tournament in Ottawa, the Slovaks stunned the United States in the quarterfinals to take the Americans out of contention. The Americans have won the last 2 meetings. James?
Thanks, guys. Ray's bang on. Sometimes if your top forwards aren't sniping, you can make the goalies look good. So if they can't get their top 6 going, where else can they generate offense from?
Well, you're right. They are a goal-challenged hockey team. At least they have been in their last couple of games against the elite competition. And if you look through this lineup of the Americans, there are some guys that maybe they can rely on a little bit if they maybe get the mix master out and start putting them in different situations. That Pietro Labardro-Hartman line plays like a grind line. That's great. Look, Grimaldi, we mentioned him going to the 13th forward. I'll tell you what. That can't be just for on-ice ineffectiveness. You don't get dropped to the 13th forward in a tournament with a profile of the kid like that. But for me, the key is number 25, Vincent Trocheck. He scored 24 goals for the Saginaw Spirit of the Ontario Hockey League. He's got some high-end offensive ability. If things don't work for the Americans early on here, I would maybe try and get a guy like Trocheck playing with his division rival, Alex Galchenyuk from the Sarnia Sting, and try to get something going there, or maybe move Galchenyuk into the middle. Phil Housley's trying to be loyal to the guys that he's got there, and he doesn't want to blow everything up because he thinks his team is close to producing goals. But if after the first period they're still stymied and they're not getting anything, he's going to have to get the mix master out and start shuffling this in a big way to try and get something. They cannot do what they did last year and end up in the relegation round. Unacceptable.
On the other side, Marko Dano has been the most dangerous player for Slovakia so far. A couple of goals, 3 assists, 5 points in the 3 games. Elimination day. Oh, they'll play other games, but they'll be in the relegation round, and that would not be nearly enough, as Bob says, for the U.S.
The 2013 IIHF World Junior Hockey Championship from Ufa, Russia is brought to you by the proud premier sponsors of Hockey Canada, Imperial Oil. Our SO Smart Gasoline works harder for you. Think clean. By RBC. RBC Play Hockey, providing all Canadians an opportunity to play the game. By Nike, official outfitter of the Canadian national junior team. And by TELUS, proud telecommunications partner of Hockey Canada. The 2013 IIHF World Junior Hockey Championship from Ufa, Russia is brought to you by Chevrolet Safe and Fun Hockey and by Molson Canadian. proud sponsor of Hockey Canada.
It's the final day of the opening round of the World Junior Hockey Championship for 2013 as Slovakia takes on the United States. And it's very simple in this part of the bracket. The winner advances to the medal round. The loser goes to the relegation. The referees are Pavel Hodek of the Czech Republic and Mikael Nord of Sweden, the linesman from Finland and from Latvia. Ernst Bokros is the head coach of the Slovak national junior team for the second consecutive year. He was an assistant coach for the Slovaks for their greatest moment in international hockey, the 2002 World Championship, when they won gold. In the meantime, 48-year-old Phil Housley, his first year behind the bench for Team USA. He was an assistant in 07 and 2011. Starting goalies are brought to you by Chevrolet. Safe and fun hockey. Adam Nagy has played every minute of every game so far for the Slovaks. He stopped 17 of 18 shots against Germany in an overtime win last night that kept the Slovaks in contention. John Gibson allowed 2 goals on 30 shots against Canada in a heartbreaking loss that puts the U.S. in this must-win position. And going back to last year, the United States lost 5 of its last 6 opening round games at the World Junior.
Challenge for the U.S., as we outlined in the opening, is they have struggled to score outside of the 8 goals against Germany. And the Slovaks don't give up any shots. Only 25 shots average per game given up by Slovakia.
Cole Bardreau slides that ahead for Ryan Hartman. And it's picked out by Martin Riwe, and that pass almost bounced to Bardreau. Slovaks gave the Russians all they could handle. An overtime game, the Russians finally won 3-2. Then the Slovaks had a 2-0 and a 3-1 lead against Canada before finally falling 6-3. Marco Dano centers that right onto the stick of Bardreau for the U.S. And Cole Bardreau brings it ahead along with Hartman and Pietila. Sends it right on goal, and Nagy steers it up but out of play.
Adam Nagy has, as you mentioned, played every minute for Slovakia. He's not had to be brilliant, but he's been real solid. Last night, he had almost an off night against the Germans. He gave up the 1 goal, but faced just 18 shots. The Slovakia had to scramble back in the 3rd period.
There's a quick shot taken by Alex Galchenyuk. That's stopped by Nagy. Now a turnover in front. Galchenyuk back with it. That bounces in front, and Nagy will glove it.
Alex Galchenyuk had a gorgeous goal in the first game against Germany, had a couple assists as well. And while he's had points in all 3 games, he's had very little impact the last couple of games. And they need this line here. The line has been reunited from the first 2 games with Barber and Corelli. They need this line to start to score again as well. I mean, it's going to sound like a broken record today for the Americans, but they need their top people to create something.
Juric brings it in for the Slovaks. Crisscrossing there with Matthews Matisse, and the long point shot by Corum is knocked down. And Galchenyuk fished that out for Corelli. Sean Corelli scored 19 seconds into the Americans' opening game of the tournament. And Jake Trouba had that go off a leg. Now Goss is paired with a shot. Rebound loose in front, and Corelli had it pinball off a leg as well. Now Kalena with it. Backhands that ahead, just missed Juric. That'll be icing called against the Slovaks.
Sean Corelli had the first real chance of this hockey game. It's a shot that deflects off the Slovak defenseman. Corelli's coming out of the corner. He doesn't get very good wood on it, but there's a wide open side for Corelli to put the puck at the net. The States are going to try and get the puck at Nagy, crash for rebounds, force the smaller Slovaks back onto their heels.
Here's this newly reconstituted #1 line for the U.S. with Miller, Goodrow, and now Jim Vesey, number 26, playing the right side. Vesey, who plays at Harvard, and in fact, during the pre-tournament had to write a term or an exam in branches of government from Harvard. It had to be supervised by Tim Taylor, the U.S. Director of Player Personnel, who's a Harvard alum, went on to coach at Yale.
And Vesey really has played his way into this spot. He beat Stefan Matteau, the New Jersey first-round pick, out of a spot on this team as that big physical forward. And each game he's climbed his way into more minutes. Now he's a big presence alongside of John Goodrow and JT Miller. And I hadn't liked that balance on the first line. Both Goudreau and Grimaldi are very small. This is a little bit bigger mix onto that line.
Branislav Rapak forces the turnover for the Slovaks, and now it's picked up by Denis Hudek. His centering pass knocked away by Seth Jones. And now Jones tries to kick that ahead. And Tyler Biggs took his man out, Branislav Rapak, and play is called to center ice.
I thought Biggs was one of the better U.S. forwards against Canada. He had his best game of the tournament, physical on the puck, helped create some turnovers on the forecheck. He's not the most gifted of forwards, 15 goals though in the Ontario Hockey League.
And Seth Jones of the Portland Winterhawks winds it ahead. 8 of these U.S. players play in the Canadian Hockey League as Jones brings it in, centers it, bouncing puck in front, knocked away. It was picked up by Riwe. A 9th player, JT Miller, played in the CHL last year. He's in the American Hockey League this year for the Rangers farm team.
There's also a 10th player, Stefan Neusen, who would be on this team, suspended prior to the tournament. He's serving a 10-game suspension in the Ontario League, so he's not eligible. And that's a loss for the U.S. He'd be one of their top 6 forwards.
Jake Truba with a shot that bounced wide of the goal. Now a chance for the Slovaks. 2-on-1. In they come. And the shot by Mikus is stopped. Bouncing puck in front. Scoop up Marco Bono. Ripped that high and wide. Bono gave the Canadians fits, scoring twice in that 6-3 Canadian win. Scored to make it 1-0 and 3-1. His dad also scored twice against Canada in the 1994 Olympics in Lillehammer when the Slovaks upset Canada. Now Bira skates by the puck. Hartman tries to center it. That's wrapped around, picked up by Steve Gostisbehere. His centering pass is knocked away. Richard Mraz tries to track down the loose puck. And Mraz with a steal now. And the puck bounces loose in front. Rebound loose. And a great chance there for Bira. He's stopped point blank by John Gibson. 2 good chances for the Slovaks in the last couple of minutes. Now Bardreau busting in, shoots, scores! Cole Bardreau gives the United States the lead.
Much like the goal yesterday for the United States, it starts with a brilliant stop by John Gibson. Another careless play defensively, this time by Jacob Trouba. Both Trouba and Jones have made sloppy puck plays early in the game. The puck turns over. Nice feed up to Cole Bardreau, and this is Bardreau's first of the tournament, but he has played with terrific energy, is an excellent penalty killer and face-off man. He doesn't know the puck's in. You see him take a secondary look behind him, but Bardreau's breakaway goal gives the U.S. an important lead.
Bardreau, who has gone through 2 National Hockey League drafts, plays at Cornell of the NCAA, native of Fairpoint, New York. And so all the talk about highly drafted players and top draft prospects, it's been Bardreau, an undrafted player, who's been one of the better American forwards.
That line has been terrific for them, their version of the grind line.
Now here's a lead pass. In comes Matisse, scores! Matisse Matisse ties it up.
That didn't take very long. Turnover in the middle of the ice, a nice feathery dish, and this is a difficult pickup for Matisse. He looks to his right, but the puck comes to his left. He picks it up, and this is a terrific release. We saw him score early in the tournament against the Russians with an excellent shot. Here he beats John Gibson clean, and Slovakia quickly is back 1-1.
Now back comes a long shot, this time from Jurek, and that's stopped. So goals 14 seconds apart, and the Slovaks have tied it. They have been a handful in this opening round, right?
Really impressed with their ability to stay on the ropes, battle off the ropes, hang around games, force teams into positions they're not comfortable with. They might be outmanned. At times they don't look like they're the most skilled of teams, but they hang and hang and hang. It really has been an impressive tournament for Slovakia.
Miller brings it back for the U.S. That looked offside, and it was, as Goodrow comes in.
Right off the draw here. The Americans win the draw, but they can't get the puck to the net. This puck is feathered all the way through the defense. Connor Murphy gets caught on the turnover. Both Murray, Connor Murphy, and Mike Riley get caught. And this is a terrific feed by Kalena up the ice to Matisse. Awesome name, terrific wrist shot, and it's 1-1.
And he scored a very big goal for the Slovaks earlier in the tournament, down 2-0 against the Russians and under siege. Matthews scored the goal that got them back in the game as they eventually forced to overtime. Riwe sends it rink wide. Here comes Marco Dano with it. That skipped away from him, and a chance now for an odd man rush as Vesey comes leaping in for the U.S. Jim Vesey winds his way to the middle. Feeds it back in front, backhand shot. McCabe scores! Jake McCabe lifts it home, and it's 2-1 U.S.
One of the line changes that Phil Housley has made was to elevate Jim Vesey to a more prominent role. And as Vesey pulls up on the back of your screen, you're going to see Jake McCabe wander into the slot. The Slovak forward, Marco Dano, gets puck focused. He doesn't see his point man. That's Dano's man. But Jake McCabe, who was picked up a late 2-minute and 10-minute additional penalty against Canada, comes in, scores his first goal of the tournament, and a wild first period has its third goal.
The United States has scored 12 goals in the tournament race, 6 from defensemen. Now brought in by Mario Lucia, and the Slovak net has been displaced.
There's the
captain from Virginia, Wisconsin.
Yeah, missed the third of last year, Gord. He had a cut tendon in his arm. So he's come a long way to have to rehab, get back in the lineup. Very physical, very aggressive. He wanders in from the point, not picked up, and that was a real nice look by Jim Vesey, the forward from Harvard, right on the tape. And McCabe gives the U.S. the 2-1 lead.
McCabe's a Buffalo second-round pick. His D partner last year at Wisconsin when he did play was Justin Schultz. When as a free agent in Edmonton, having an extraordinary rookie year in the American Hockey League. Richard Mraz reaching for it. Gets away from Biggs. And Mraz brings it ahead. There are 2 Mrazes on this Slovak team. Richard and Bruno, same hometown, not related. Biggs up ahead for Lucia. That bounced away, and Gostisbehere flips that into the U.S. bench. 2-1, the United States with the early lead here in Ufa. Well, a barrage of goals here midway through this first period, and the U.S. has a 2-1 lead on Slovakia. This is the appetizer. The main course comes tonight from Canada. Takes on Russia. And there's a play offside at the U.S. line. Well, you can keep in touch with Hockey Canada events, teams, and alumni by liking Hockey Canada on Facebook and following them on Twitter at Hockey Canada, at HC_Team Canada, or Facebook.com Hockey Canada. Bardreau sends that across, a long shot taken by Blake Pietila. And now back the other way come the Slovaks. And Slovak forward upended that long shot taken by Matisse. That was Milan Kalena who was knocked over. Now Connor Murphy comes back the other way. Long shot, and Nagy makes the save on him. Slovaks still without Patrick Luza, who was KO'd by Canada's Anthony Camara in their round-robin meeting. We're told that while it's possible Luza will return, it's highly unlikely. Hartman bumps there with Korev, and now Hartman leaves that to an open wing as Corrali goes racing for it. Fished out by Galchenyuk. Crisscrossing with Corrali. Now Sean Corrali with it. Trying to drop that down low, intercepted by Karol Korev. And now flipped ahead by Riley Barber. Galchenyuk tries to center it. And here's Corrali with it. Seth Jones wraps that high around the glass. Barber slides it down low. Galchenyuk works it. Front backhand shot. That goes wide. And Fuller back with it. That bounce away from Jake McCabe and back down to the U.S. line. 12:15 to go in the opening period. Seth Jones brings it ahead. Being closely watched by all the scouts here. You have to say the way he's played so far, he's the likely #1 overall pick in the 2013 NHL draft. Whenever that happens.
Whenever.
Could be the 2013-2014 draft. Barber for Galchenyuk. And Jones can't hold the line, had to retreat, now gathers it up at center ice. Richard Drury. One of 16 players in the Slovak roster who plays for their national junior team that plays a series of games against teams from the Slovak men's league. They played 20 games, won 2 of them. The object of that program is to keep Slovak players in Slovakia.
And despite just the 2 wins, they feel it has been a tremendous experience for them to play in that league.
Bardro to Vesey, across he goes, not a chance for Miller, stopped by Nagy. And Vesey back on it. Jim Vesey's had a great first period so far playing on this top line. Now back at the line, Goss is barrel rolling, puck rebound, moves in front, score! And it's Goodrow with the goal, the U.S. leads by 2.
Gord, you mentioned the first period that Jim Vesey has had. He keeps this puck alive on the half wall after making a nice play to Miller. Right there, Vesey has kept the puck alive, and when Slovakia doesn't clear it out, Goodrow is unaccounted for behind the net. He wanders to the front. Nagy can't stay with him. And the Boston College scoring star, John Goodrow, has his first of the tournament. And it looks like a goaltending change for Slovakia.
As in comes Patrick Romancic in place of Adam Nagy, who allows 3 goals in the first 9 minutes of the period. Romancic also plays for that Slovak junior program. Now remember, the Slovaks played the late game last night, went to overtime against Germany. So they played at 8 last night. This is a 4 o'clock local start, so a tight turnaround for the Slovaks.
A very difficult schedule, and I also just watching the teams come on the ice, and you can see or sense a little apprehension from the Slovaks, like they hope their A game is there. Yet the American team seemed pretty confident that they would play well. Now there's only 10 minutes gone here in the first period. It would be interesting to see if Slovakia can solidify the game, stem the tide a little bit.
Romancic actually played the majority of the games against the Slovak Extra League teams this year. Tyler Biggs with it. Looks down to Trocheck. And Mario Lucia on it. Now picked up by Trocheck. Shoots, and Romancic knocks that away. Now the Slovaks forced to ice it. And the face-off will be in their zone.
There is John Goodrow, a tiny forward, 5'9", 150 pounds, a Calgary Flames draft pick, but he's got 23 points in 14 games this year in Boston College. Creative, usually likes to get to the middle of the ice, plays in the guts of the game, but he too, like so many of the forwards, Gord, he's just been so quiet. Did miss a breakaway against Canada, but they just haven't had enough chances.
Now Hartman with a chance in tight, and Romancic makes the save on him.
This line forechecks very well for the U.S. The line centered by Cole Bardro with Hartman and Pietila. They stay on the puck. They support the puck well out front to Hartman. And an excellent stop by Romancic, who has very little time to get loose before getting tested.
Winner of this game will finish third in this Group B. Off the drop, Pietila rips it wide. And they'll play the second place team from Group A. And goodness only knows who that might be right now.
What a mess that is. What a spectacular bracket that side has turned out to be.
This is the much tougher side, but that was much more interesting as the long shot by Bardreau is eaten up by Romancic. So if you missed it earlier, Czechs had a 3-1 lead in the Swiss. Swiss scored 2 late goals to tie it, and the Czechs won it in overtime to pick up 2 points. So there's a tie for the top of the bracket. Now, the Finns tonight, that Swiss point from the overtime loss means that Finland must tonight get at least 1 point in their game against Sweden to advance to the next round. But the Finns can finish anywhere from 1st to 4th in the group. Now Marco Damo comes walking in. Miku's back with it. Line he goes, and fanning on the shot with David Bajanek. Now knocked out by Galchenyuk, and all the way down to the Slovak zone, icing waved off. Swiss have 3 losses in overtime or shootouts in the opening round.
Their tying goal today bounced in off of one of their players' heads. Yesterday they had a 4-2 lead, and they coughed that up late to the Finns. I mean, they've played some of the most interesting games in this tournament.
Riwe works his way in, drops it back, McCush in, shoots, he ripped it wide. That bounced way up in the air, puck remains in play, and Dano with it. Tries to center it. That's knocked away by Seeloff, who barreled over Riwe. Dano trying to kick that ahead. And Riley Barber has it. Back for JT Miller, feeds it across, Goodrow in, and Romancic makes the save on him.
Excellent puck movement from the U.S. This play starts when Martin Riwe is run over inside the zone by Patrick Seeloff. The puck gets turned over quickly, and now it's a 3-on-2. Barber, Miller, and then Goodrow walks in with the chance. Another nice save by Romancic as he goes side to side to stop the play.
Off the draw, Mike Riley. Had that shot bounce away, and the Slovaks ice the puck. 8:25 to go here in the opening period.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Home Depot. Your Home Depot gift card gets you the gift you really want.
Nice day here in Ufa, Russia. The holidays are here. New Year's Eve and Christmas on the Julian calendar comes. JT Miller unloads, and Romancic hangs on to that.
Well, this line has been far more prominent in the first period, and Jim Vesey has a couple assists placed on the right side here with JT Miller and Goodrow, and said early in the tournament about the Canadians when they hadn't scored much. Goal scoring is also a habit. And
now Vesey flips that down towards the goal scorer. Mike Riley with a backhand taps it home almost nonchalantly, and it's 4-1 U.S.
And a habit is a habit. Now the Americans seem to have it. This is an odd goal here for Mike Riley. Another goal from a defenseman. The Columbus 4th-round draft pick wanders down the wing, and as the puck ends up back to him, he just sort of chips it at the front of the net. It hits the backside of the Slovak goaltender and squeaks behind him, and the U.S. jumps out to a 4-1 lead. And this has gotten ugly for Slovakia in a hurry.
Mike Riley plays the University of Minnesota. He's a freshman there. He played in Penticton last year in the BC Junior League. We've talked about that outstanding Penticton Bees team that won 42 consecutive games in the RBC Cup, the Canadian Junior A Championship. Seth Jones comes in, fires it up high. And now Tyler Biggs with a backhand shot. He's turned away by Romancic. And the Slovaks finally clear it off the glass and out. Like Canada, the U.S. has a defenseman named Riley and Murphy. And now Seth Jones works it in. Jones tries to center this up into the meshing and out of play. Back to Ufa, Russia, the World Junior Hockey Championship after this. Five goals scored in the first 12 minutes of this first period, 4 of them by the United States. The 4-1 lead. Hudak takes that long lead pass. He's tied up by Jake Truba. Now racing towards Branislav Rapak. Truba, by the way, has scored in all 3 of the first games for the U.S. scored the only goals against the Russians and the Canadians.
U.S. defense still scoring 50% of their goals with 2 of the 4 here in the first period as well.
Gostisbehere works his way in, drops it back for Bardreau. Looks back for Gostisbehere, who jumps up. Gostisbehere is a 3rd-round pick of the Philadelphia Flyers. Last year, he quarterbacked Union College to a berth in the NCAA Frozen Four, first time in school history. And now Bardreau comes winding away with Hartman. Bardreau stripping the puck. Dano took it away from him. He's away with Riwe. Riwe crisscrossing with Dano. Drop pass. Dano shoots off the leg of Mike Riley. Now a lead pass, and they want it for Corrali. He was open, but there's a penalty coming up, and it'll be Dano who goes off.
After the shot's deflected away, Dano is chasing the puck. He gets his stick into the feet of Mike Riley in the U.S. power play that has 1 power play goal in each of the first 3 games will get their first chance today.
Trouba battling for it. Now a chance short-handed for the Slovaks as Andre Biras brings it in. Biras with a pretty good move there, but staying with him step for step was Riley. Now another chance, and Richard Mraz with the shot. Gibson makes the save, and Biras back on it. The puck loose in front, finally gathered up by Corrali. Sean Corrali drops it back to Galchenyuk. Back in front for Corrali to touch the right on. Rebound, score! Not sure if Trouba got it before it crossed the line, but it might be Jake Trouba with another goal for the U.S.
What a mess for Slovakia here. They had played themselves into a position to try and advance to the next round. Now they're down 4 on the power play goal. Corrali takes the puck. Galchenyuk throws it to the front of the net. And it looks like it's going to go past. Oh, it goes off the Slovak defender. I think this is going to be Jake Trouba's goal. And a disappointed Marko Dano leaves the Slovak penalty box.
5-1, the U.S. leads 14 minutes into the opening period. Wait for the official assignment on the goal. It did appear as though the puck was still on the line when Trouba poked it across. That'll give him a goal in all 4 of the American games. Beasy spins back for it for the U.S. Now Kalena with it. Kalena centers it, and that skipped away from the intended target, Michael Jurek. Goodrow for Beasy. And Jim Beasy collides with his teammate McCabe, and back come the Slovaks, 3-on-2. Rapak across to Kalena. And Kalena tried to center it, he got bumped there by Murphy. And Trouba does get credit for the 5th American goal. That's his 4th of this World Junior Championship. Cheresnak walks in and fires it wide. Peter Cheresnak, playing in his 3rd World Junior for the Slovaks, was the man who scored the overtime winner last night against Germany. Dudek sends that long down to John Gibson, and he's got it. Well, the wait is over, Canada. Now is your chance to join the Amazing Race Canada. Simply go to ctv.ca/Amazing Race Canada for details.
Bulking up for the late game.
That's right. Get ready for Canada, Russia tonight on New Year's Eve.
Well, that should be something. When Russia and the United States played in here, it was just an incredible atmosphere, a terrific game. And you would expect tonight would be even kicked up a notch. The New Year's Eve game, the most anticipated game of this first round.
Russian fans getting a taste of seeing their national junior team here in Ufa for the first time. And there's lots of Canadians here as well. Little appetizer this afternoon. Go get yourself some supper. Come back for the 8 o'clock game tonight. Seth Jones lifts it way up in the air. And it's up and out of play.
Well, everything the Americans had hoped for has come true here in the first 15 minutes of this game. They score 5 goals in 9 minutes and 45 seconds. They pushed the Slovaks back on their heels. Slovakia doesn't seem capable of handling the Americans. They played with a much higher pace. And when JT Miller was talking before the game, he talked with a real confidence that they felt they would be able to score if they continued to play with the energy they did the first 2 games. And well, they've come through with 5 so far.
In comes Biggs, sends it across. Trocheck lifted that wide. A nifty feed from Tyler Biggs, the Toronto Maple Leaf first rounder. Rudolph Mraz backhands that towards the goal. Andre Perez back in front for Richard Mraz. The skipping puck is gloved by John Gibson.
It's been a fantastic tournament for John Gibson. He has been by far the best U.S. player in the first 3 games. He played 2 periods in the opener against Germany and then was brilliant in back-to-back games against the Russians and Canada.
And he gets 2 goals.
And you're not going to win very often with that. But there's where the goaltending is such a tough position. You can't worry about what happens in front of you. He has to just make the stops that he can make. Can't do anything about the power play. Can't do anything about penalties.
He's got an assist tonight.
Pretty well wraps that up, doesn't it? What a tournament it's been for him. And last year's event didn't go so well.
Played once last year, lost to the Finns 4-1.
Didn't play particularly well.
And it turned out to be a disastrous tournament for the U.S. Lost its last 3 preliminary round games and finished 7th in the competition. Hartman plays it up a leg. That's the beauty of this format for teams like the U.S. is got an injured player, Matis Matisse, sliding across center ice. Under the old format, the straight round robin, the U.S. would be out of it by now. But now with the medal round coming, they've got a chance to reset and do some damage. In the meantime, there's going to be a penalty here against Shane Gostisbehere.
Gostisbehere is going to get a slashing penalty, they're going to call it. Take a look at Gostisbehere going up the ice. That might not be a slashing penalty.
What would you call it, Ray?
That hurt is what I would call it.
Spearing?
Yeah, that's a how's your uncle. That I don't know if Gostisbehere is going to get more.
He might.
Yes, he's getting 5 in a game for this.
Wow.
The second official went and they had a discussion. So it's still called a slash, but it's a 5-minute major and game misconduct for Shane Gostisbehere.
The Slovaks now get a 5-minute power play with 3 to go in the opening period.
They have 4 power play goals in this tournament in the 3 games, including a couple against Canada.
That's been their formula, Ray, right? Keep it close and score on the power play. They scored their overtime winner last night against the Germans on the power play.
If they can, they would look at this. If they can get a couple on this power play, then it's a game again. Down 5-1. I mean, the game seemingly is almost over, yet, wow, 5 minutes on the power play, you can do some damage. That's really not a very bright play for Gostisbehere to make. Up this much, there was no need to do that. And then the fact of the matter is you can't put the calls in these officials' hands. It's international hockey. It's called differently than anything else you play. He probably thinks nothing of that it's going to be a 2-minute minor when he goes to the box, while somebody called it 5, and now you put your team in a hole.
Mikush knocks it down, looks there to Dano. Chereznak plays for Peterborough, the Ontario Hockey League, slides that down for Riwe. Plays for Gatineau in the Quebec League. And now Trouba brings it ahead. Jake Trouba just fires that down to the Slovak zone. 4 to go in the 5-minute penalty to Shane Gostisbehere of the U.S. Riwe. And he goes for Pires, who chips that puck. Stops him it around now for Richard Mraz. Leaves it to point. Chella holds that for a moment for the Slovaks. Mraz. Gabirez. Back to Mraz. Finds his way into Chella with it now. Across he goes for Tereznak. Mraz. He's in for Chella with a shot. Gibson with pad save. Bouncing puck loose in front. Perez can't get to it. Now Riwe keeps it alive for the Slovak. 90 seconds to go in the opening period. Riwe drops it back to Chella with a shot. Gibson to save. Puck still loose. Rebound. Score! Richard Mraz power play goal.
Gordon, this is a terrific play in the goal crease by, I believe, Tereznak. After John Gibson stops the one-timer, he knows he doesn't have it, so he's scrambling to find it. Watch the Slovak player in the middle of the ice. I think it's Tereznak. Yes, right here. Watch him slide the puck back here to Mraz. A beautiful play. And Mraz comes in off the wall and deposits it behind the prone John Gibson. This is an excellent play by Tereznak. 5-2, 3 minutes and 16 seconds left on the 5-on-3.
And 1:25 to go in the period. Carol Corum slides that ahead. And the pass goes to Mikush. Thomas Mikush winds his way and plays it across. Dano shoots! And he missed high with that. The puck goes up and out of play. Dano could really shoot it.
Well, the Slovaks have a great idea what to do on a power play, don't they? I mean, they look like a completely different team. They're so confident when they have the man advantage. This is a nice play side to side. This top group is very skilled. It's a crossbar for Marko Dano. The Slovaks' leading scorer rings one off the bar up over John Gibson's shoulder.
Now a steal in front for Dano. The puck just skipped away from him. Fired down the ice by Trouba. And Corum has it for the Slovaks. Throws that rink wide blindly. Trouba picks it up for the Americans. Waddles across the line, now plays it in deep. Lining his way ahead is Thomas Mikush. 30 seconds to go in the period. Mikush drops it back. Dano with a drive. That was blocked by Trouba. Mikush slides it across, and it's intercepted by Blake Pietila and slid down the ice. Slovaks will still have just under 2 minutes to go. The power play to open the second period. Final seconds now. Chella in across the line. That plays offside with 2 seconds to go.
That goal has energized Slovakia. Now they still trail by 3, but as you mentioned, Gord, they have almost 2 minutes left on this 5-on-3. The U.S. has to regroup just a tad. Phil Housley's message has to be about discipline here. Up 5-2 after 1 period.
A 7-goal first period. U.S. with a 5-2 lead. Our first intermission is coming up.
First period scoring summary is brought to you by Chevrolet. The U.S. with 5, Slovakia with 2. But again, just under 2 minutes left on that power play. Trouba's fourth ties him for the tournament lead with Strome and Marcus Granlund. Gordon Ray.
Well, we've been talking about the American defense since the tournament started, how aggressive it would be and how offensive it would be. Did you expect it to be this much of an offensive force?
Well, no, not scoring 8 of their 15 goals up until this point. Phil Housley said this was going to be the real strength of their team, their defense and their transition game. And it has been that way, and certainly this afternoon, the defense has been absolutely phenomenal offensively. Jake McCabe with 1 goal, Mike Riley with another, and then Jacob Trouba, as James mentions, with his 4th of the tournament. 3 goals in the first period from that U.S. defense, up 5-2. But, Gord, this is an important minute and 50 seconds here for the way that this game will be played. If Slovakia can get 1 more and get a little tighter, the complexion of the game completely changes.
With the power play on fresh ice, and Martin Riwe brings it ahead. Action plays for Gatineau in the Quebec Major Junior League. And Riwe plays it around for Mikush. That pass misfired. And the puck moved out by Pietila.
Even though the ice is fresh, I've always found, Gord, I don't have any stats for this, but I've always found that the power play is not as sharp early in a period. It's like you don't have your head in the game yet. You're not in sync yet, and we see a couple missed passes by a Slovak power play that has been very good in this tournament, and they've wasted 30 seconds of this power play.
Seth Jones has to retreat with Riwe watching him. And Jones lifts that all the way down the ice. Thomas Nechala picks up for the Slovaks. 19 years old, wears the full face mask because he got hit in the face with a puck in practice. Now look out, Romancic turns the puck over, shorthanded chance for Tyler Biggs. He almost stuffed it home. That was interesting.
Well, Romancic got all turned around behind the net. I'm not sure Biggs realized he had that much room. He had an entire open net. And he rifled off the side of the cage.
Now Nechala has to retreat as it chipped ahead. Vince Trocheck busting in. Down is Romancic, and Trocheck got spun around. Now he and Jones collide. And a chance now for the Slovaks, 2-on-1. Bires for Riwe. Back for Bires, and hustling back was Sean Corrali to break up that play. There's no go in the 5-minute major.
Sorry, Gord, there's no reason for Seth Jones to be way up the ice there. They don't need a 6th goal. They need to kill off this 5-minute power play. They got lucky as the 2-on-1 was stirring.
In comes Bires. That's kicked away by Gibson. Now Goodrow, who is serving the penalty, is on the ice, so the teams are back to 5-on-5. 2 minutes into the second period, U.S. leads 5-2. Winner of this game finishes in the medal round. We'll play the second place team from the other side. Here comes Baggett. His shot goes high and wide. Like you mentioned, with a game we played in Group A, all 3 spots still to be decided. Richard Mraz works his way around. Mraz spins and shoots. That went wide. Thomas Racina steps up. Throws it down to Bruno Mraz. His puck goes into the corner. Now Hartman with it. Ryan Hartman banks out ahead. It's out of the reach of Baggett, and that's icing against the United States.
John Gibson, who has an assist in the first period, shorthanded, shoots the puck down the ice, and this would be difficult to play much worse than the Slovak goalie does. And you see the puck come to the side of the net, and Biggs fires it off the side of the net. Wide open net. And you can see him saying, I don't even know what happened. I just missed the net.
Biggs plays for Oshawa in the Ontario Hockey League. Left the University of Miami, Ohio last year. First round pick of the Maple Leafs. 15 goals in 34 games for the Generals. He plays on a line there with Boone Jenner, who will make his debut in this tournament for Canada after serving a 3-game suspension.
You don't think he'll have any energy tonight, do you?
How about Jenner and Biggs on the same line in Oshawa? That'd be a load.
That would be pretty difficult. You'd like to be some 16-year-old defenseman dealing with those two.
Penalty coming to the Slovaks here. And now across the line is Kalina. And we'll get a holding call, which will put the U.S. on the power play as Matus Matisse goes off.
The U.S. gives up 1 on the 5-minute major, but does a good job killing the remainder of it. There's the penalty on Matisse. The U.S. with a power play goal here can settle things down a little bit, take a little bit of the hope away from the Slovaks for a comeback.
Draw one cleanly back to Truba, who's got a goal in the game already. Riley for Galchenyuk. Back to Mike Riley. Alex Galchenyuk for Truba. Riley, Galchenyuk. Barber standing in front. Here's Corrali with it. Back for Riley. Works in, fans on the shot. Rolls right in front of Corrali. And Corrali now spins back in the corner. Trying to find Barber. Now Barber back on it. Resnack to the line, and Truba just kicked that ahead, and it's fired back down the ice by Richard Bury. Gibson played that high off the glass. He finds Barber with it. Now Goodrow out there along with Barber and Galchenyuk at the forward line of the U.S. power play. Riley with it. Looks back to the point to Trouba. Finds Galchenyuk. Now Trouba tees it up. Save made by Romancic, and the rebound cleared away by Kalina. Trouba can really shoot it. Winnipeg Jet first-round pick.
Seems to hit the net a lot too, Gord. Lots of guys can shoot it, but Trouba from either the wing or in the middle seems to get the puck on the net with great consistency.
Down the line by Seth Jones with a great move. Now Jones slap passes it across. That pass knocked over J.T. Miller. And put high in the air by Thomas Tuchala. 25 seconds to go in the Slovak penalty. U.S. leading 5-2. Earlier today, Czechs and Swiss in a wild one. Czechs led by 2 with 9 minutes to go. Swiss forced overtime, but the Czechs finally won. Now walking in is Goodrow, flips it home. And a power play goal makes it 6-2.
As the power play had flattened out a little bit, John Goodrow gets in behind the Slovak defense with a nifty little forehand to backhand. This goes underneath the arm of Romancic. And Goodrow had no points prior to this afternoon's game, or no goals rather, prior to this afternoon's game, has a couple.
You know what, Ray? The United States would be disappointed with the results so far, but heading into the medal round, got like their chances. Got good goaltending.
They are just fine. I mean, they were disappointed with the result against the U.S. Against Russia and Canada. I think what would be most concerning, although you keep telling yourself, yeah, we're a bounce away, you're a bounce away, the only games they've scored are against Slovakia and Germany. That would still be the concern for me. Can you score against the better teams, the better defensive teams? And we'll find out, but they've got to feel a heck of a lot better about their chances at this point than they did about 90 minutes ago.
And one thing we've talked about in this tournament is the parity we've seen in recent years. 4 different champions the last 4 years. In the World Junior Championship, Canada in 09, the U.S. in 10, Russia in 11, and Sweden last year.
One thing that they would be happy with is that now a lot of guys here are starting to get into the act in this game. You start to get well in a hurry. Guys start feeling better about themselves and their ability to produce. And let's face it, they're going to need some goals from the top end of their lineup. Goodrow was one of those guys, and now he's got a couple, and we'll get a chance here on the power play to get another.
Marco Dano goes off for roughing.
That's a frustrated Marco Dano.
Well, if the Slovaks do lose this game, Ray, they can once again try to work their relegation round magic.
I mean, I would be shocked if they have troubles in that relegation. They've already beat Germany. They'll get a game against Latvia. They should be fine.
In the last 15 years, they've finished 1 spot above relegation 7 times. They've been in the A pool since 1996. Mraz plays that to the line and just out. J.T. Miller across the line. The Ranger first round pick to John Goodrow. Goodrow back to Jones. Jones puts it there for Trocheck. Vince Trocheck down to Goodrow. Looks back at front. Trocheck shoots, scores! Vince Trocheck. 7-2 United States.
This is a terrific feed from John Goodrow. Goes back behind the net. Vince Trocheck, as Bob mentioned him in the opening prior to the game, as someone that didn't have much done offensively, but has 50 points for Saginaw in the Ontario League. Scores a power play goal. Look at that little feed from Goodrow. He waits for the passing lane to open up. Trocheck finds the soft spot, gives a good target, and then he beats the goaltender with a wrist shot. And the second time this afternoon, Marco Dano has been in the penalty box and has to watch his team give up a power play goal. It's 3 power play goals for the U.S. today.
centering pass just skipped away from Mario Lucia. Back in front it goes. Connor Biggs with a shot that goes off a leg and wide. Dropback is knocked down. And Biggs back on it. Plays it back to Riley. Mario Lucia. Lines that ahead to Trocheck. And Trocheck put that between the two U.S. defenders, Riley and Murphy. 7 down in the second period. U.S. leads 7-2. Two teams combined to score 3 goals in just over a minute in the opening period. Lead pass for Dano. In comes Marco Dano, tied up by Riley. Dano backhand shot. Gibson saved. And a penalty coming up to the United States. Slovaks in the power play when we come back to Ufa, Russia. Slovaks on the power play here. Midway through the second period. And the puck fired down the ice by Patrick Seelock. Romancic came on in place of Adam Nagy in the first period. Leaves it there, and now another penalty, this time to Riley Barber, will put the Slovaks on a 5-on-3 for a minute and 46 seconds.
Not a terrific penalty here for Riley Barber to take. He gets his knee out and clips Nachala. 5-on-3 for the Slovaks. When they had the 5-on-3 against Canada, they scored almost immediately.
Of course, the U.S. ran into late penalty trouble against Canada in that 2-1 game. Now, Bardreau steps in for the faceoff and wins it. Trouba battling for it. Marco Dano comes in, and Trouba falls on the puck. And they're spearing away at him. And finally, we get a faceoff. Jake Trouba, a freshman at the University of Michigan. Made this U.S. team last year as a 17-year-old, played in Alberta. Face-off, one back by Dano to Tereznak. To Nachala. Bush standing in front. Tereznak. To Nachala. Three-way. Centers it, and Gibson's out of that away. Now Nachala. Back across, Tereznak had his shot blocked by Murphy, gloved down and moved ahead by Jake Bardreau. Cole Bardreau, rather.
Bardreau's been an excellent penalty killer for the U.S. in this tournament. Scored the game's first goal as well.
Dano works it in, had his pocket picked. Tereznak tried to keep it alive, but the play's offside. Minutes ago in the first penalty to Mike Riley of the U.S.
Looks like a little heart has gone out of Slovakia here. They've flattened out. Their power play has been so good for them. Just seem a half a step slow, a little bit heavier, dejected here down 7-2 in a game that at the start they could only possibly dream that they could be in here, a win and in game.
Bieres works his way in. And Seth Jones wraps that around the boards, but not out. Bieres kept it alive neatly. Bruno Mirage at the side of the goal, drops it back. Corum, and a shot by Bieres, handled easily by Gibson. Corum. Waits, now Fagan. Back to Corum. A diagonal pass knocked out of midair by Jake McCabe and played out. 15 seconds to go in the first penalty. Richard Mirage wraps that around. Now Bruno Mirage looking for it. Fagan with time, winds and fires, and Gibson makes the save. There's no rebound. Well, it's bowl season. TSN and TSN2 are your home for the NCAA coverage this holiday season. Tomorrow, the Outback Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the Orange Bowl, all on TSN and TSN Mobile TV. Coverage gets underway at 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific. You see the trophy case here, and there is the Gagarin Cup, emblematic of the KHL Championship. I would hate to have to skate around the ice with that in my arms too long.
I'd be worried about dropping it. It looks like there's a lot of baubles on that.
There are a lot of baubles. Don't bobble the bobbles. Ufa fired its coach in the summer after winning that championship and just cashiered another one on Christmas Eve this year before playing in the Spengler Cup.
Coaching is a tough business, but in the KHL, it's
not like here.
It's pretty incredible. Almost half of the coaches fired in the KHL this year.
You have to be worried when your name on the parking spot is in pencil.
How about you're leading the league in points, as St. Petersburg was, and they fire the guy because they weren't playing the proper style.
Didn't like the style.
We'll fix him.
It's actually just a large game of musical chairs. There's 23 coaches in the KHL. Or sorry, 28 coaches. 26 have jobs at any given moment. Now with a chance, loose in front, fired home by Trocheck. And it's 8-2, another goal for Vince Trocheck. And that's 2 for him.
2 for him. Nice play by Tyler Biggs from behind the net. And the Slovaks have started to break down all over the ice. Off the face-off. Face-off win. Mario Lucia chips it behind the net. 2 guys go to Biggs behind the net. And Trocheck is left all alone, shows some nifty little hands and slides it through the 5-hole. Couple of goals for Trocheck, his first 2 of the tournament.
Florida third-round pick in 2011.
I thought he was one of the better forwards against Canada as well, he and Biggs. He was dangerous, he had some chances, a little giddy up with the puck. He too, one of those players that's getting well this afternoon.
Dano went across the line, that plays offside.
Dano went in and almost apologized to John Gibson for shooting the puck after the whistle. Gibson gave him a little head nod.
So should the Slovaks drop this game, they'll go to the relegation side. They'll carry over 2 points for their overtime win against Germany. The Germans will have 1. And we know Latvia will be in the relegation from the other side. Latvia has no points. Only 1 team gets relegated this year as opposed to 2 in recent years. Now Goodrow walks in and fires, and Romanczyk has that.
Wow, was the ice tipped. Hard to believe at one time this game was 1-1 as Slovakia tied it up 15 seconds after the U.S. had a 1-0 lead on a goal by Cole Bardreau. But since then, it's just been an onslaught, 7-1 in goals. But you see Adam Nagy leaning up against the post to the end of the Slovak bench.
Bruno Mraz leaves it there for Biraz, who hops by JT Miller. John Goodrow, the Calgary Flames draft pick, drops it back to JT Miller, centers it, and Tereznak knocks that away. Slovaks have had their moments in the World Junior. Won a bronze medal in Winnipeg back in '99 when they upset the Swedes in the bronze medal game on a hat trick from Ladislav Nagy. Finished 4th in Ottawa, losing the bronze medal game to the Russians. Now VZ walks in, hits that high and wide. Pins and Swedes will be underway at the Sports Palace, not far from here. We've got a penalty coming. There'll be a trip against the Slovaks. And this time it'll be Andre Biraz who goes off.
Biraz just pulls the feed out from Vesey with his left skate. Not only are the Slovaks dejected, they look tired now too, Gord. The short turnaround from last night's game to this, the tank is empty.
That Finn-Sweden game begins in about a half an hour's time. That'll decide all the placings in Group A. Shot by Mike Riley, kicked away by Romanczyk. And Alex Galchenyuk has that knocked away. Galchenyuk is one of the hottest scorers in all of junior hockey. Coming into this tournament, still having a quiet event for Team USA. Not really in on the fiesta of goals so far.
27 goals in the OHL in 33 games, and really hasn't had much impact at all here this afternoon. Everybody else is ringing the bell, and he's not been able to. Hasn't even really been close in this game.
that's his sister, actually. There you go. Galchenyuk was one of the several interesting players in the NHL draft last summer who had a very thin resume in his draft year going in. Galchenyuk played only 2 games. Morgan Riley of Canada played 18. Got a host of players who hadn't played much who got drafted up high. Trocheck on this U.S. power play, drops it down for Goodrow. John Goodrow's had a strong game for the United States. Jones to Trocheck, shoots, that's tipped wide by Miller. Now Goodrow back on it. Flips it back to Jones, across he goes to McCabe. To Jones. Wrist that down to Trocheck, 45 seconds to go in the power play. Jones, slap pass for Goodrow, tipped that wide. Now McCabe with a chance. Back to Jones. Slides it across to Trocheck. Beat up by McCabe. Romantic save. Rebound loose in front for Miller. Couldn't quite reach it. And another penalty coming from the Slovaks.
No, this is going to be Miller for slashing. He knew right away, too. He just turned around and heads straight to the penalty box. There's a loose puck, and Miller keeps the puck alive. Now he's going to go try and retrieve the puck, and he just slashes the stick out of Figueroa's hand. Maybe that's a 2 minutes for being too strong right there for JT Miller.
Mention Miller is playing in the American Hockey League for the Connecticut Whale. 5 goals in 25 games. He played for Plymouth last year. Burek spins off the check of Seeloff, who takes him down. Now another penalty coming up to the U.S. Seeloff is then written face first into the boards. And after all that, we may get 2 penalties. The first one is against the United States. 6:54 to go in the second period. U.S. leads 8-2.
Your trip your way.
Well, on this occasion, the penalty box does have an innocent man, and then Tyler Biggs takes a penalty that was actually committed by Patrick Seeloff.
22-27.
Either. 8-2. Now, in a 3-2 game.
Right.
That makes it
made protest a little bit.
Thomas Nechala for Perez. Perez banks it off the end boards and winds up in the back of the net, and Connor Murphy had that deflect up and out of play. Here's Nabil Kareem.
Gordy, you might be wondering why Shane Gostisbehere got a 5-minute major at a point where the U.S. were in control. He said that he talked to one of our TSN staff and said that he was slew-footed on the play and he reacted to it. He said it was a dumb penalty. Phil Houser can't be happy about that. He told us before the game that he needs his team to be a lot more disciplined and be smarter when it comes to penalties.
Well, the video doesn't lie. You saw him get slew-footed, and yet there's a time for discipline. He ended up just basically he got nailed. Thought he could get away with it, didn't.
In comes Trocheck on the breakaway. Trocheck put it wide. A chance for the rarest of goals while killing a 5-on-3. We'll see 1, maybe 2 of those a year in the National Hockey League.
I picked up a minus on a 5-on-3.
Did you?
Yeah, Mario Lemieux.
Wow.
I had my guy though. I had him jacked.
Of course you did.
He got out in front of us, and we got a breakaway, and Kay Whitmore was with him until the 4th peak, and then we lost Kay as well. The puck rolls on Trocheck just a bit. He wants to backhand it up in the shelf, and the guys are giving it to him on the bench a little bit, and the common line is way to keep it deep as Trocheck misses on the breakaway.
You know who the king of those goals in the NHL is?
No.
Mike Richards.
Yes, he is.
Has 3 of them in the last 6 years.
Gets out in front and makes his little backhand deep 5 hole, and
Milan Kalina brings that across, and nothing doing for the Slovaks in the 5-on-3. Still 15 seconds to go in the power play. You'd like to think on a 5-on-3 that the best chance wouldn't go to the team down 2.
Sometimes discouragement is a heavy thing to carry around, and it's pretty clear to me that that's what the Slovaks have.
Baggett plays it back, Biggs it out of the box after serving a penalty he didn't commit. And now Baggett walks in, has time. Trying to slide that back door, Seth Jones knocked it away, and the Americans break out 4 wide. Lead pass to JT Miller. Hook check by Baggett, 4.5 to go in the second period. And back down to the U.S. zone it goes.
I don't want to get, if you're from a U.S. perspective, I don't want to get too excited here because they've got 8 against Germany and 8 against Slovakia, but there's some real signs here that the U.S. team is a lot more comfortable with the puck, like they can exhale a little bit. They have a couple of goals. You're right, Gord. They're going to get into the medal round, into the quarterfinals, and they're going to be a dangerous opponent.
Well, this is a Slovak team that gave Canada a test and took the Russians to overtime, so I don't think the performance should be completely...
No, I'm not completely discarding it, but I think the Slovaks are totally out of gas. You know, they short turnaround, and the games against Russia and Canada were hard games for them.
Now a chance for Richard Mraz, 2-on-1. He's got Red back with him, tips it down on goal, and Gibson makes a dandy save. Galchenyuk in across the line. Alex Galchenyuk got it knocked away, bouncing down to Miller. That rolling puck is knocked away. Dano has it, along with Riwe. Marco Dano shoots, that goes wide. Dano back with it. Backhand shot goes wide again. Here's Riwe. Dano tries to center it. Trouba got to that, and now Riley Barber with it. Galchenyuk to Miller. Skipped away. Riwe has it. Dano hammered that wide. Bayanek aligns with Galchenyuk. And McCouche plays it across to Corum. Holds the line and shoots at the leg of Seeloff in front. And Vesey has it for the U.S. The United States looks on track to finish 3rd in this Group B. Top 2 spots will be decided tonight when Canada takes on Russia here at Ufa Arena. That shot from a sharp angle from Trocheck, knocked away by Romancic. McCabe snaps it back to Seth Jones with a shot. He hammered that wide. And Jones can really shoot it.
Got a couple of guys back there can really shoot the puck. Of course, Trouba's got 4 goals. The one today was from the goal crease, but the others are pretty heady shots. He gets the puck and he gets it on the net.
Under 2 to go in the second period. Jones backhands that ahead for Trocheck. Trocheck had that knocked away. And Urich knocked off stride by Jones. And a hit from behind there by Michael Urich. Now one would wonder, doubtful, but the disciplinary panel will look at the steer by Gostisbehere and determine if there's any more discipline needed.
I think that my guess is and my feel is the major will be enough in that game.
And it was early enough in the game as well.
He's almost missed the full game. You're right. It's almost has been a game suspension for him.
Lifted ahead to Richard Murray under a minute to go in the second period. Jones falls. Now a long lead pass from Vesey. Jim Vesey in on the breakaway. Poke check by Romancic.
Really good poke check by Romancic. As Vesey goes in clean from almost the red line. That's a gorgeous feed that Riley Barber sent across the ice and tries to go to the backhand, and Romancic's able to poke the puck away.
Connor Murphy tees it up. Romancic kicks that away and almost bounced right to the American forward, Ryan Hartman. Now lifted out by the Slovaks in the final second of the period. Richard Mraz looking for it. Connor Murphy steps away from him. The U.S. opens things up here in the second period. There's an 8-2 lead after 40 minutes, and now a late hit on Cole Bardreau by Kalina draws some attention. And there may be some penalties as a result of that. Our second intermission coming up.
Second period scoring summary is brought to you by Molson Canadian, proud sponsor of Hockey Canada. The Americans racking up the points. Trocheck with 3, as we mentioned. Vesey has 3. Gaudreau has 3. And still 20 minutes left before the medal round.
All right, back here with Ray Ferraro. Ray, we talked about American forwards wanting to get going. John Gaudreau's certainly done that.
Yeah, and he was one of the guys that needed to be at the front of the line here for the United States offensively. No goals in the tournament, just 1 assist prior to today. In the first period, 9 minutes in, he makes it 3-1 with a nifty little backhand. Here he gets a nice lead pass and wanders around the defense. Backhander for his second goal, and this is the play that I really like. Controls the puck behind the net on the power play, keeps his head up, finds Vince Trocheck. A lot of ills are getting well for the United States today, as James just mentioned. Trocheck with a couple of goals for John Gaudreau, and the United States has an 8 spot on the board after 40 minutes.
At one point, the U.S. scored 5 goals in 9 minutes and 45 seconds. Nick McCabe plays that across. Intercepted by Martin Riwe. Seth Jones with it. Hartman to Bardreau. Cole Bardreau. There were no penalties, by the way, in that exchange at the end of the second period when Bardreau was knocked face first into the glass in the offensive zone.
Heard Mark Osiki of the United States coaching staff. We heard an interview he did after the second period saying that discipline was going to be paramount for the United States in the third period here. It doesn't matter what the Slovaks do. If they frustrate you, there's Mark Osiki. Whatever they do to frustrate you, you have to swallow it at this point. Because there are more important games to play than the last 19 minutes of this period.
Mraz with a long shot, and Gibson gloves that.
Closed captioning is brought to you by The Home Depot. Your Home Depot gift card gets you the gift you really want.
Canadian coach Steve Spott looks on. His team about 2 hours away from taking on Russia in the final game of the opening round. The top spot in Group B on the line.
Right now he's not even scouting, he's killing time.
Yeah, Corrali sent flying there. And a penalty coming to Michael Urich. That'll put the U.S. on an early power play. Every coach handles it differently. Brent Sutter used to walk laps around the rink.
Got to do something. You got to make the time pass. By the way, I don't think this is a penalty. I thought that was a pretty good hip check by Bagan. He gets the hip into the hip area of Sean Corelli. It was up high enough, but it's called interference.
You made the point talking about discipline. The other thing is you'd hate to get suckered into something in the third period that cost you a game or two with a suspension.
Yeah, there's far more importance ahead of you in this tournament than what's remaining in the game here.
Trocheck throws that across to McCabe, the U.S. captain. And McCabe, as they go off a skate, now fired down the ice by Milan Kalina. Incredibly, last year, no Slovaks were picked in the National Hockey League draft.
There's a challenge for them here, developing young players. They've got a couple draft eligibles that may garner some later round attention here. Marco Dano has 5 points. He's in the tournament, couple goals against Canada. He's a draft eligible this year.
He's playing in the KHL, plays for the Bratislava club in the Continental Hockey League. Thomas Tatar is a good prospect for the Detroit Red Wings, but when you think about that golden generation of Slovak hockey, the Marian Gaboric's of the world and Pavel Dimitrov.
That was such a great generation of players that all came together at the same time.
Chara. Rink-wide pass for Barber. And of course, Slovakia's performance at the Vancouver Olympics, one of the heartwarming stories from the hockey competition at those games.
You know, when I get to do a game between the benches, sometimes you see incredible things. And when the Slovaks were advancing in that tournament, that was one of the great things that I've had the opportunity to broadcast, to be close enough to see how passionate and how happy those guys were. And what they knew was going to be their last time to compete together, all of them, on a big stage. And then, of course, the tragic passing of Pavel Dimitrov in the plane crash in Yaroslavl.
Bouncing and puck ahead for Corrali, couldn't get a shot away. Penalized player is back on the ice. And Bruno Mraz, the long shot that goes up and out of play. Well, Rocco Grimaldi has not had a shift in this hockey game. He was on the top line for 3 games. Now he's been bumped down and is an afterthought.
I don't think he's an afterthought. I think there's clearly been some thought put into this. On the ice, I thought Grimaldi was really ineffective in the first 3 games. He displayed an almost selfish manner on the ice, always looking for his shot, yet so ineffective. And I know they're very disappointed in the way that Grimaldi has played in this tournament. They expected him to help be a real strong contributor offensively, and at this point he's not had a shift, so it's pretty clear where they feel he is in the roster right now.
A lonely place to be.
Well, when you're sitting between the forwards and the defensemen and you're not moving, and you know there's no chance you're getting a shift, that's a long afternoon.
Have you ever had that seat?
Never for a full game, for long portions of it. Mostly penalty related, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
That surprises me greatly.
Yeah. A couple of slashing penalties. It's funny what that does to your ice time.
Kalina works his way ahead for the Slovaks. That's intercepted. And Tyler Biggs throws that ahead for Trocheck, and that pass results in an icing. Well, the Canadians making their way into the building, and not long from now our coverage will begin. Getting set for Canada-Russia. Malcolm Subban being closely followed by Dougie Hamilton, J.C. Lepon, all getting set for what should be a classic on New Year's Eve.
And did Malcolm Subban find his game at the right time? Terrific in the contest against the United States. His best game by a mile.
There's Ryan Murphy of Team Canada, Anthony Camara. You know, what's interesting, was asked by a Russian reporter yesterday, what is Canada's greatest rivalry in international hockey? And the answer is, if you're over 35, it's probably Russia. Resnick takes that shot wide. If you're under 35, it's probably the United States. If you ask the Canadian players who's Canada's arch rival, they might answer the United States.
They may feel differently after tonight. I mean, this is going to be, for the Canadians, this is going to be a hostile place. Here's another relatively cheap shot by Milan Kalina. We saw Kalina at the end of the second period run into Cole Bardreau when the period was over. He smashed him face first into the glass. And here, while there is a scrum for the puck, Kalina shoves the U.S. player over the pile. Trocheck runs him over, and Kalina doesn't like it. The puck is still in play. Now watch Kalina here. Clearly he's going to get an interference penalty at 5'9", 178 pounds. Kalina barrels over Vince Trocheck and gets an interference penalty. Honestly, I can see why he was upset. But he got steamrolled. He went from behind, although the puck was there.
What a move by Galchenyuk. The puck just slid off his stick.
And you're losing 8-2.
You've been there.
I know you're losing 8-2, and I'm not condoning what he did, but I know where the rage came from. I mean, he got knocked over. The guy's standing there, and he's like, "The heck with you!" And he goes and knocks him over. Seen it happen.
Seen it happen?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Frustration is a tough thing to control sometimes.
Yes, it is. You're being very controlled under this circumstance,
Yes.
I must say.
It's easier up here.
I'm always worried you're going to slash me one of these days.
If I had a stick.
You'll have to get through 6 feet of mine.
There's Alex Galchenyuk, has had a 5-point start to the tournament. No points this afternoon. Really had a tough time making any impact here in this game.
Tied for the OHL goal scoring lead with 27 when he left for the American camp. He had 14 goals in his last 11 games for Sarnia.
A natural center playing on the wing here for the United States, on the line with Sean Corelli and Riley Barber. Much like Mark Scheifele has had to do with Canada. We'll see a little bit different Canadian lineup.
Yeah.
Everybody healthy, but also a little bit of line maneuvering by Coach Steve Spott. It appears we'll see in the second game.
8-2 the U.S. leads, 5:45 gone in the third period. And Galchenyuk battling with Carol Corum. Mike Riley. For Barber, the puck skipped away from Corrali in front. And back it goes to Trouba. The U.S. as we mentioned will be third if they win this game in Group B. Possibly they could play the Finns in the quarters. Finns beat them 5-1 in the pre-tournament. The game which the Americans had most of their lineup in the game. And a somewhat surprising turn of events in that pre-tournament game in Helsinki.
And now the Finns just have to get there. They need at least 1 point.
Yeah, got to at least get to overtime against the Swedes.
And for those that don't know, the Swedes and the Finns are the bitterest of rivals.
Well, as bitter as the Swedes get.
Yeah, well, for them, that's as bitter as it gets. You're right.
Matisse worked his way in. Knocked off the puck by McCabe, who fires it down to the Slovak zone. Kalena's back on the ice. And Seth Jones peels away from him. But yeah, that's a bitter international hockey rivalry and a terrific one. They've played some tremendous games against each other. As that play is offside of the Slovak line, and we're back with more after this.
Wyndham Rewards points.
Gordon Miller, Ray Ferraro, Nabil Karim, and the entire TSN production crew here in Ufa, Russia. Final day of the preliminary round of competition of the 2013 World Junior Hockey Championship. The U.S. leading Slovakia 8-2 with a berth in the medal round at stake. Ryan Hartman lifts that in the air. And Tereznak back for it. Long lead pass to Marco Dano. And Dano works his way and shoots, and Gibson makes the stop on him. Now Murphy with it. Ahead to Pietila. Long shot. And Patrick Romancic has that. Well, the World Junior Championship returns to Canada for 2015 and 2017, and fans can register now to get ticket information for both tournaments as it becomes available. Registering also means an opportunity to purchase tickets when they go on sale. Visit hockeycanada.ca to sign up today. Now they've got their Canada-Russia tickets all set. And Cole Bardreau makes his way slowly off the ice. Last thing you want now in an 8-2 game is to get someone hurt.
Man, there's more contact after the whistle here. Bardreau gets hit well after the whistle, and he was ill-prepared for the hit, shaken up at the U.S. bench.
Richard Mraz took McCabe in, and Thomas Racina fired that high. Biggs had Trocheck skating away. Now Jones looks ahead. He's got Lucia with him with Trocheck. Trocheck in backhand shot. And Baggin came back to take that away. Now McCabe plays it down low to Mario Lucia. Trying to tap that in front. And Mraz lifts it out. Mario Lucia, whose father Don is the longtime coach at the University of Minnesota. And now Lucia with it. There's another Penticton V a year ago. Finds Beasy. Beasy's dad, Jim, played in the NHL a little bit for St. Louis and Boston. And Lucia has it back. And A.T. Miller spins off a check. Now it's lifted up to center ice as Trouba has it. Urich slides out ahead. Kalena sends it back in front. Rebound, score! Matus Matisse with the third Slovak goal.
Second one of the afternoon for Matisse. He goes to the front of the net to pick up the rebound. A good net drive by Michael Urich on the far side. He ties up the U.S. defense, and that allows Matisse to come right down the middle of the ice on the deflection. John Gibson can't get to it, and Matisse has his third of the tournament.
He scored the big goal, as we mentioned, against the Russians. Down 2-0, got them on the board and back in the game when the Russians were all over them. The game ultimately went to overtime. The Slovaks lost at 3-2. And you think now, Ray, about the power play the Slovaks had in overtime, and had they beaten the Russians in OT, how different their fate might have been.
Yeah, they tied it late, had to well over a minute, I believe, of 4-on-3, and didn't get it done, and then Russia scored late on with 5 seconds left in that game.
Crease violation against the U.S.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Home Depot. Your Home Depot gift card gets you the gift you really want.
Ufa, a city of great history, about 3 hours flying time southeast of Moscow. That puck goes into the Slovak bench. And a hockey hotbed. And Canadian fans are seeing that close up, as are Canadian players. Dougie Hamilton, some of the others having a look. (8-3) the U.S. leads midway through the third period. U.S. posted decent results prior to last year. The Americans were 7th last year, 3rd the year before in Buffalo. Then, of course, gold medalists in Saskatoon on that golden goal from John Carlson. In overtime against Canada in the gold medal game. Their second World Junior Championship. They also won in 2004. Beating Canada in the gold medal game in Helsinki. Seth Jones being harassed by Dano from behind. Now Corrali for Galchenyuk. John Corrali shoots. Romancic moving the wrong way, stuck the pad out, and now Corrali back with it. And Trouba with a blast that went off the leg and wide. And now Dano reaching for it. And we've got a slashing penalty coming up. And it will be Dano who once again goes to the penalty box and threw that puck in the direction of the official.
Oh, is he frustrated. This is third penalty for Dano this afternoon as he chops at the legs of Seth Jones. The previous 2 times Dano's been in the penalty box, the U.S. has scored power play goals.
So the U.S. back on the power play. Seth Jones winds that in. Needs a clearing attempt. Fanned on by Carol Corum, and now moved ahead by Bruno Mraz. McCabe lost it for a moment to Bruno Mraz. And now Trocheck comes in for it. To Jones. Lines that ahead to Goodrow. To Miller. JT Miller walks in and shoots. That goes wide. Now Jones on it. And Bayanek was trying to find Beres on a short-handed breakaway. Now Goodrow brings it back in 3-on-2. Goodrow's rush was stymied there by Bayanek. And Jones holds the line. Trocheck spins away from a check. Down for Miller. Cross to Goodrow. Tried to slide that back in front. And now McCabe knocks it back in deep. Goodrow and Miller both there. Goodrow to JT Miller. Slaps it across to Jones. Jones with a slap pass trying to find Goodrow. That went wide. Now McCabe throws it in front, tipped wide by Goodrow. Goodrow tries to feed that in front, and Romantic has it. And now Miller involved in some pushing and shoving in front as Bayanek gets into him. And you're in a situation now where the Slovaks have really nothing to lose.
Anytime the whistle goes, the Americans got to get out of there. Even just standing there, eventually you get frustrated. You can only get cross-checked so many times. As Miller was taking a couple of cross-checks, you just got to get out. There's nothing to be gained by standing in there.
Puck loose in the corner, a glove as well. That belongs to a Slovak defender. Now Mike Riley plays the puck down to Vesey. Across he goes to Trouba with a shot, and Romantic got that wide. Trouba tries to shovel it away. A chance now for the Slovaks, short-handed. Branislav Rapak sends it back in front, and Fierek tipped it wide. Last few seconds of the penalty to Marco Dano. And Mike Riley looks ahead for Lucia. And the play is called offside at the Slovak line. Back with more from Ufa, Russia after this. .6:45 to go in the third period. The United States with an 8-3 lead on Slovakia. A scoring barrage in the early part of the first period, so the U.S. take the lead. The Slovaks tied up 14 seconds later, and the U.S. retake the lead moments after that. In the meantime, the combatants have arrived for the game tonight. There's Neil Yakupov of Team Russia. His club getting set to take on Canada with first place and a bye into the semifinals at stake this evening. It'll be a packed house.
Oh, it'll be electric in here. This will be fun tonight.
And these teams know each other well. 24 players taking part tonight played in that Canada-Russia Challenge, the 4-game series in the summer between Canada and Russia.
Years ago, the anonymity between the teams was one of the cool aspects of Canada playing Russia. Now the players know each other so very well. There's very little surprises, including a couple that are teammates. Daniel Zarkov and Malcolm Subban are teammates in Belleville.
Yeah, Riley Barber shoots that high and wide.
I mean, before, quite honestly, there'd be a goaltender in a game you'd never have heard of, never seen him before. Certainly not the case anymore.
Artem Sergeyev plays for Val-d'Or in the Quebec League. His coach is Canadian assistant coach, Andre Tournier. Now Riwe brings it back in. Drops it back. That shot from Bruno Mraz goes up and out of play. Today's game story is brought to you by Molson Canadian, proud sponsor of Hockey Canada. John Goodrow had 2 goals and an assist. Vince Trocheck with a pair of goals as well. And Jake Trouba has scored in every game for the United States.
That's a surprise. The Trocheck would, the Trouba would have 4 straight goals. Good news for the U.S. is that Trocheck gets going and that Goodrow gets going, and they throw the 8th spot on the board here as they're 5.5 minutes away from getting to the quarterfinals. Phil Housley has to be happy with the number of goals they've scored. He said he felt they were close. Today, they've cashed on plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, it wasn't he was unhappy either with the losses, to be honest. He wasn't fuming. He wasn't
Said if they kept playing the same way, felt they would be rewarded. And, you know, they got some opportunities early, and you know, that 5-goal barrage in 9.5 minutes in the first period had to be a sight for his eyes.
Bires knocks it down for the Slovaks. Finds his way across the line and falls. And they're going to call that a penalty against the United States. So it'll be a Slovak power play here with 5:03 to go.
Well, Trouba for tripping will be the call as Bires makes a nice little rush, gets to the outside, and the stick gets into the feet of Bires. So Slovakia will go to the power play again.
No score in the early going between the Swedes and the Finns at the Sports Palace tonight. Remember, the Finns need at least a point to advance to the medal round. If the Finns were to win that game in regulation, there'd be a 3-way tie for top spot in Group A. Then you get into special standings and
math.
There will be math, Ray.
Yes, there will be plenty of math.
The way you said that, you're almost spiteful that there would be math.
You know, playing in these international tournaments, you get into a scenario where you might be tied, and then one of the coaches, there would always be one, because there's a penalty call here to Matisse.
Now a misconduct to Matisse.
Well, that'll finish him for the afternoon. So there would always be, to finish the story, there'd always be one coach that had a handle on the scenarios.
Right.
And he'd start rattling them off. There's the first penalty and then a misconduct for Matisse. Once he started rattling the scenarios off, I would have to check out. They get too complicated.
You just glaze over a little bit.
Too complicated sometimes. And you just play and you let the chips fall. But the Finns, I mean, doesn't matter where they end up, but they've got to get a point. Somehow they need one.
Well, if the Swedes win in regulation, it's easy. Sweden first, Czech second, Swiss third. That's very straightforward.
And watching the pre-tournament games, I would have never thought that could have been the case. I thought the Finns were by far the best team. Maybe not discounting that they were playing at home in those pre-tournament games. You know, they were terrific against Canada and the United States.
4-on-4 here with 4 to go in the third period. And John Goodrow slides that down to the Slovak line. Swedes with a chance to win their group and get a bye into the semis. That would be crucial for the Swedes, who are real short-handed on defense. Connor Murphy tried to shovel that in. Penalty coming to the Slovaks again. And this time, it'll be Marko Dano. Fourth minor penalty of the game for Dano. Can I say it? Book him, Dano.
Book him, Dano. Uncle. That's enough for him. He spent so much time over there. Might as well get his own water bottle. Here's the slash on the gloves of Connor Murphy.
So 4-on-3 power play with 3:47 to go. Connor Murphy walks in, drops that back to Galchenyuk. Tried to slide that back door, and Sean Corrali couldn't tap it home. Now Murphy back to Galchenyuk. For Murphy with a drive that goes wide. Jeff Jones with it. Back he goes to Murphy. Now Galchenyuk, one-time chance, scores on the feed from Murphy. Alex Galchenyuk gets the 9th American goal, and it comes in the power play.
4 power play goals for the U.S. Galchenyuk with his first point of the afternoon here. It's a nice pass by Connor Murphy as he and Jones work the puck around. Galchenyuk slides down in line with the dots, so he's not out of the scoring area. Nice pass by Murphy, and Galchenyuk puts it away.
Sister's happy. Mom and Dad. His dad, Alex Sr., was a longtime pro player. In fact, Alex was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin when his dad was playing there. Galchenyuk moved back to Russia for a time when Alex Jr. was smaller, and then back to the U.S. So he considers himself American, born there, primarily raised there. Milwaukee, he calls his hometown, as Trocheck comes in. But Galchenyuk had the choice to play for the U.S. or Russia in this tournament and internationals. And now a penalty coming to Seth Jones for a cross-check.
Jones gets a cross check. At this point, it seems this is almost like a football game where there's a penalty every play. Every time the puck goes up the ice, somebody takes a penalty here, and with 2:46 left, both teams would probably welcome 2 minutes and 46 seconds of uninterrupted play at this point.
Not to mention us.
That's a very good point.
Connor Murphy with it. Back for JT Miller. 2.5 to go in the third period. So the U.S. held to a total of 2 goals in games against Canada and the United States. They're up for 9 here against the Slovaks. So the question will be in the medal round, which U.S. team will we see? They will be third in this group. So if the Swedes were to win in regulation this afternoon, or tonight, and they're up 2-0, 7 minutes into the first period, that means the United States would play the Czech Republic in the quarterfinal. Slovakia now on the power play. As Tyler Biggs gathers up the loose puck. Try to feed it there for Lucia, and Riwe brings it in. Slovaks getting set up in the power play. Rusina, that backdoor feed tapped wide by Dano. Now fired down the ice by Patrick Seeloff. Well, can the Finns pull another Houdini act? Did it yesterday against the Swiss, down 3-1 and 4-2. Down 4-2 in the third period. Came back, tied that game up, and won it in a shootout.
With all the injuries that Sweden has on defense, they're missing 4 defensemen that would have played on their team through injuries. Last year, gold medalists Oscar Klefbom and Jonas Brodin. They lost Jesper Pettersson on that devastating hit by Boone Jenner in the pre-tournament game, and then Hampus Lindholm, a first-rounder by Anaheim, is out of the tournament with a concussion. So they have to play a real tight, low-scoring style. To come back against the Swedes is a difficult chore. They got 53 minutes to get it done, but it's not going to be easy for them.
And critical for the Swedes to get that day off. They need the quarterfinal. They need that buy-in to the semifinals. You want to play back-to-back, and then you're into 3 and 4 nights to get to the gold medal game. Teams are back to even strength, and Connor Murphy's back to the loose puck. And the United States, after those bitter disappointments, as Jurek comes in and has that block, gets up off the mat and makes it back to the medal round. Bardreau drops it back. Beerez with it. And McCabe fires it down.
Gordon, the final indignity for Marcus Matisse, who has a couple of goals and then got the 10-minute misconduct. He can't get into the Slovak locker room. It's locked. So he's been standing in the hallway waiting for the game to end.
And thus it does. He and his Slovak teammates are finally relieved of this game as the United States advances to the medal round. The U.S. will be third in Group B and awaits its quarterfinal opponent.
The 2013 IIHF World Junior Hockey Championship from Ufa, Russia is brought to you by the proud premier sponsors of Hockey Canada, Imperial Oil. Our SO Smart Gasoline works harder for you. Think clean. By RBC. RBC Play Hockey, providing all Canadians an opportunity to play the game. By Nike, official outfitter of the Canadian National Junior Team. And by TELUS, proud telecommunications partner of Hockey Canada.